Have you ever found yourself complaining about the same situation, the same pain point, day after day? And here's the curious part. Even when you want to break free, something pulls you right back to that familiar place. Stick with me, because today we're going to uncover why suffering sometimes becomes our comfort zone, and even an addiction. Imagine a dark room. You can't see anything, but you know exactly where all the furniture is. You know where the wall is, where the bed is, the chair. Even without light, you move with a strange sense of security. This is the perfect metaphor for the pain zone, a place that, despite being uncomfortable, is so familiar it offers a strange sense of security. But what if I told you there's a light, and that the fear of this light might be greater than the fear of the darkness itself? Let's explore together how to step out of that room and illuminate the path to a true spiritual awakening. And it's precisely about this place that we, paradoxically, call comfort, even though it causes us familiar suffering. It's the pain zone, and it holds us captive more than we realize. Today, we're going to uncover why we cling to it and how to begin your true spiritual awakening. And this is an invitation for you to look inward, without beating around the bush. This isn't just about physical pain, the kind we take a pill for and it's gone. I'm talking about that emotional pain, that suffering that seems to settle in your soul, becoming familiar territory. It sounds paradoxical, doesn't it? Who in their right mind would want to live in pain? But the truth is, often without realizing it, we build such a strong familiarity with our suffering that it almost becomes a part of us. It's strange, I know, but it's one of those things that curiosity pushes us to investigate, isn't it? Let's demystify this dynamic together, understand why we cling to this uncomfortable comfort zone, and most importantly, discover how to take the first steps towards a life of greater pain liberation and authenticity. Get ready for a deep conversation, with everyday examples and reflections that can truly transform your perspective on suffering. I don't know if this happens to you, but I guarantee that by the end of this video, you'll have a new lens through which to see yourself. And the first step toward this new perspective is to understand a surprising truth: the idea that suffering can, paradoxically, offer a kind of security. How is this possible? Think about a toxic relationship you or someone close to you might have experienced. Even with all the familiar suffering, the person stays. Why? Because the known, even if painful, is less frightening than the unknown. It's like that dark room we mentioned at the beginning. Even without light, you know every piece of furniture and move with a strange sense of security, even if it's not a good place to be. It's like Haruki Murakami's quote, "Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Pain is the signal. Suffering is our way of dealing with it, and often we insist on staying in that state." Want a real-life example? Imagine you've always complained about your job. It's stressful, it doesn't value you, and you feel exhausted. But at the same time, you know every detail of that job. You know what to expect, how to deal with the bosses, with colleagues. The idea of looking for something new, of exposing yourself to the unknown, of having to adapt, of maybe failing, that can seem more frightening than the familiar routine of dissatisfaction. That job, even a bad one, became your dark room, your pain zone. We, as human beings, are averse to uncertainty, and pain, when familiar, paradoxically gives us a sense of predictability. Oh, I already know what it's like to suffer from this. At least I know what to expect. This is the danger. We settle for known pain instead of risking emotional healing and genuine well-being. It's a cycle we get used to, right? We prioritize the known, even if it robs us of the chance for a fuller life. Exercise number 1. The observation exercise. I want to challenge you. For one day, observe. When does the pain narrative surface in your thoughts? Is it a lament about the past? An excessive worry about the future? Notice how you cling to this narrative, almost like a blanket. This is the first step toward self-knowledge. It's an invitation to curiosity about yourself. And following this line of self-observation, we need to delve deeper into how, often, the attachment to a narrative of familiar suffering masquerades as inner truth. Not infrequently, the story we tell about our pain becomes our identity. I am this way because I suffered this. This pain defines me. This is my truth. And when pain becomes our truth, defending it is defending ourselves. Have you noticed how this happens? It's a subtle pattern, but one that traps us in a kind of invisible knot. Think of those who constantly repeat their old hurts. It's as if the pain becomes a fixed character in the script of life. In a way, the identity of victim, or someone who suffered a lot, can bring attention, compassion, and even justify inaction. It's a subtle but powerful disguise that prevents us from experiencing true pain liberation. Epictetus reminded us, it's not what happens to us that hurts us, but our response to what happens to us. The narrative we construct about pain is our response. And if that response is one of attachment, the pain perpetuates. It's the illusion that knowing pain is the same as being pain. When we identify with pain, rejecting suffering is rejecting a part of who we think we are. This is the illusion of knowledge that Stephen Hawking spoke of, applied to our inner life. We think we know our pain, but in reality, we are trapped in the illusion that it is all we are. And for those living in the dream we call life, how awareness alleviates seriousness, this identification is an unnecessary burden that distances us from spiritual awakening. It's this identification that leads us directly to the core of the paradox, the uncomfortable comfort zone. It seems like a contradiction in terms, doesn't it? How can something that causes us discomfort be a comfort zone? The answer lies in our aversion to the new, to the uncertain. It's one of those knots that curiosity, in untying, can change everything. This comfort zone is, in reality, our own dark room, where we prefer familiar darkness to the light of the unknown. The comfort zone isn't actually about being comfortable, but about being in what's familiar, even if that familiar is limiting, painful, or prevents you from progressing. It's like wearing shoes that hurt you, but you've gotten used to the pain and don't want the bother of finding new ones. It's familiar suffering disguised as security. Want a practical example? Think of someone who constantly complains about loneliness, but when an opportunity arises to meet new people, they withdraw, make excuses, or sabotage the situation. Their comfort is in lamenting loneliness, because they already know how to deal with that feeling. Breaking free from this requires effort, courage to expose oneself, to face the unknown. Anais Nin tells us, life shrinks or expands in proportion to one's courage. If your life is shrunken in the pain zone, it's because the courage to leave it hasn't been fully activated yet. It's an act of resilience that we need to practice. We hold ourselves back because the perceived cost of change, the fear of failure, the fear of success, the fear of being different, the fear of having to take responsibility for your own happiness, seems greater than the cost of continuing to suffer. It's a vicious cycle fueled by fear and inertia. It's necessary to overcome rooted suffering for spiritual awakening to happen. In light of all this, a crucial question arises, one that forces us to look inward with brutal honesty. Do you fear healing more than the pain itself? Why would we be afraid of healing? Healing implies change. And change, no matter how positive, requires us to leave old patterns behind. It demands that we let go of the identity we've built around familiar suffering. If you've always been the sufferer, what happens when you no longer suffer? Who do you become? This can be terrifying. As Buddha taught us, suffering is born of attachment. And this attachment can be to the very identity of a sufferer, to the attention it generates, or to the fear of who we'll be without it. Often, healing takes us out of that zone of attention, that way of relating to the world through pain. If I get well, will I be less loved? Will people still care? These are unconscious fears that trap us in our pain zone. It's pain/pleasure in action, where the pleasure of the known and of attention, even if painful, overrides the longing for healing. Exercise number 2. The powerful question. Ask yourself, if pain were a friend, what would it be trying to tell me right now? Pain is a messenger, not a destination. It points to something that needs to be looked at, healed, transformed. It's an invitation to personal growth and self-knowledge. It's your chance to begin your pain liberation. To better visualize this truth, let's revisit our initial metaphor of the dark room, where you move with security even without light because you know the position of each piece of furniture. Suffering works similarly. You already know what to expect. That particular suffering, that hurt, that frustration. You've become familiar with it. You already know where the furniture of anguish, resentment, and victimization is within your pain zone. It's familiar suffering at work, giving you a false sense of control. But imagine if someone offered you a flashlight, or better yet, a key to turn on the light. Would you accept it? Or would you hesitate, thinking the light might reveal things you don't want to see? That the light might disorient you, make you lose the security of knowing where each piece of furniture is, even in the darkness? This is the curiosity that can lead you to the next level or keep you stuck. That's why, often, we cling to what's known, even if it limits us. The light of spiritual awakening is transformative, but it requires courage to flip the switch. It demands that we allow ourselves to unlearn pain and relearn to live in fullness. The wound is the place where the light enters you, Rumi once said, and that light is waiting for you. It is the key to your true pain liberation. The journey to unravel your pain zone is continuous, a path to pain liberation and an inner peace you can't even imagine. And what if I told you the key to fully accessing it is waiting for you? Stick around until the end, because I have a powerful visualization that can change your perspective. Familiar suffering doesn't have to be your permanent address. It's just a stopping point. The courage to leave the dark room, to turn on the light, to allow yourself emotional healing, is the first step toward a life of true inner peace and personal transformation. Exercise number 3. Liberation visualization. I invite you to do a brief visualization. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine all your pains, your sufferings, as something you can hold in your hands. Now, imagine a calm river flowing in front of you. Gently, hand these pains over to this river, watching them be carried away by the current, dissolving in the water. Feel the lightness that emerges. This is pain liberation. Breathe deeply and feel this new energy. If these words resonated with you, I invite you to take the next step on this journey of self-discovery. Subscribe to the channel and activate notifications to continue this path of spiritual growth with us. Leave your experiences with the science of intuition in the comments and how it has been a teacher for your own awakening. Let's grow together, not just in mind, but in heart. And if you want to deepen this process even further, watch our video, Stop Letting Pain Hold You Back, which will help you understand more about how pain manifests. Peace and light.